Okay, so yeah, so now it's recording. So yes, thank you so much for joining and listening to the Messaging Masterclass. So pleased, Claire, that you're here. I'm sure others will jump on shortly, and if not, then if you do watch it in the replay, let me know. If you're in the Facebook group Copy Queens, then do hashtag replay when I post it in there. So today is going to be I always want to be upfront with people who are coming to these kind of things, that I am opening the doors to, oh, we've got Katie on as well. Hi, Katie. So yeah, I am going to be opening the doors to my online brand and messaging program called Wellness Copy Queens, which if you're in my community anyway, you will have heard me talk about that probably a number of times because I love the program. So I am going to give you lots of value anyway. So for anybody who isn't going to take that offer up at the end of the call, then you still come away with at least one point, at least one actionable point, because sometimes it can feel a bit overwhelming when you're hearing lots of information and you think, where do I need to start? So just narrow it down. I'm sure one thing will stick in your mind from today, and try and go forward and implement that and try and see a tangible effect. Because once you start to feel a better effect from writing, maybe it's coming from a place of ease or just something clicks, then there's a momentum in that, and then you keep getting better and keep sharing your message, which is what I'm all about, is not falling into the perfectionist trap of copy and being a star copywriter, because that's not what we're about. This is about you making the impact that you're here to make and working for your soulmate clients, and that is basically your dream clients who you are here to work for. And that is really important for me, because I know I hear some people and clients who come to work with me, they're almost a bit scared to narrow that down, to really put their stake in the sand and say, this is who I want to call in, this is who I want to work for. So we'll go into that in a minute, but just to kind of let you know, so I'll take you through my framework for the 5 steps for messaging that connects, and then I'll just give you an outline of the program and what you can expect, and some fast action bonuses. So we've only got 10 of those, so for people who sign up, and they're first to sign up, they will get the benefit of that. So a little bit about me, for I know some of you will be familiar with me and I've studied with Katie, who's on the call, so it's amazing to see a familiar friend. So hi Katie, hope you're well. I used to be in the wellness space. I hosted yoga nidra circles for mums, like rest circles as I called them, and I had a nutritional therapy practice. So I was very much immersed in that world, and I love anything wellness. Like if we go away on holiday, you will always find me checking out the health food store, spending way too much because I've always a fairly big investment to go in there, and then come out, you know, 100 pounds lighter because I've got a whole load of stuff. So I really get it. I get the wellness space, and I think when anything is personal as copy and messaging, so it's very personal because it's something that you feel like you're putting it out there for all eyes to see, because it's on the internet, it's in this big black hole, or it can feel like that, and you think all eyes are on you and there's judgment and maybe criticism, and you're not sure if you're really going to change your mind further down the line, for instance, because everyone's truth does change. You know, you're perfectly capable and able to change your position and views on things. Nutritional therapy, for instance, what I was in, is a changing landscape. You know, as new science comes up, or even just you, as you start to refine your message, it becomes a different kind of message. So I appreciate how personal it can be to get into that space and have anyone to mentor you or coach you through that, because it brings up a lot of fears, I think. And I don't know if either of you feel like that, and you could just put a yes in the chat, but it's something that I hear a lot. So it's always good to hear other people chime in and say that they feel that way too, because then you realize you're not alone. And I think often in the entrepreneurial journey, it can feel like you are alone in many ways, especially if you've not got a team. Feel like you're in this echo chamber. So because of my wellness background, I feel like I can really bring that expertise to helping you and get that nuance in your work, because often there are nuances. Like you could have 3 fertility practitioners, which I had in the last round of Wellness Copy Queens, and you would think, oh, how can you differentiate between them? But they all had sub niches within that smaller niche that they were specializing in, and then they just came as they are, which is the first point I'll get to in my 5 steps framework to messaging that connects. And you might think, well, why am I doing this now? Why have I moved out of the wellness space? Well, I used to work as a lawyer, 10 years, almost 10 years as a lawyer, and it was in litigation, which is basically, you know, sharpen your elbows and litigate, which basically means, you know, argue to get your case won. So it feels very far away in that corporate environment to where I am now with two lovely girls, and very much a crunchy mum into organic stuff and all that thing, you know, all that stuff. It's very different life. So I've like done a complete 360, but really I've just gone back to what I always used to love. So as a kid, I used to love writing. Found a box file actually at my mum's, this TARDIS loft that she's got, where it was all these letters that I'd written off to various charity, things like, you know, tea companies that were using monkeys in their adverts. You know, I'd write a letter saying it was cruel. So I was always advocating in many different ways through the written word, and I always kept a journal. Journals have always been a big part of my life. I've got a pile over there in the corner. I journal most days, so words just come to me. And it was when everything changed last year that I started to realize and get those downloads that I needed to move into this space, because a lot of wellness practitioners, and maybe you feel that too, have had to move their business online, or had to last year, and maybe you've realized that's actually going to work for you by having it online and making more streamlined use of the internet rather than doing things all one-to-one in a clinic format. You can actually see people on Zoom. So I know it's opened up a lot of options for people, but I could see there was a big gap in people knowing their medicine and knowing what they do really well, and then trying to get that across to the people who they want to support and help. There was this big, you know, gap, like they didn't know how to get it out there, they didn't know how to package it up, and I found it a huge mountain and often, you know, very stressful. So I started to think, actually I can bring my expertise with writing and messaging into this space to support people like you guys, to amplify their message, make the impact they're here to make, and also to make more sales. And I will mention that in this program, the word sales, as many times as I can, because in the wellness space, in the spiritual world, it feels like, you know, making money, selling, it's almost not the done thing. But actually I want to change that, and there are many people out there now trying to change that paradigm to say it is absolutely okay to want more, to grow, to scale, and to serve more people, because that means you're creating a bigger impact, you're serving more people, and you're spreading your medicine further. So that's what I want. I want more and more people. I mean, we know what's gone on recently, or still going on, and there seems to be not as much dialogue around the natural health, supporting our health through this. So that's where the natural health world I really want to support, to get messages out there and to support more people. So that's kind of the motivation for the switch into the work I do now. So I'm going to go into the framework now. I don't want to keep you all too long. You've all got enough to be going on with. And the last webinar that I did, or I called it webinar, I like calling it a masterclass better. Webinar sounds so corporate-y from my corporate days, which I just move away from as much as I can. Well, I did have a whole slide presentation, but now I'm just all for just keeping it really simple and making your life easier. And I would say just have a journal. If you've got a journal, a book, anything to write in, any notes that I take, that I give to you, anything that, because you always think you're going to remember and then you don't. So the first one is something I go on a lot about, which is just to know what you're about, because you are the messenger. And I think many people start in the marketing world with the dream client, so the ideal client. You'll hear that a lot. Just going to have a sip of my tea. But actually you are the messenger. And so I think a lot of people forget about the foundational aspect of a brand, and it's a bit like, you know, going to build a house, or you built the house, or you're trying to buy a house, which we've been trying to do for a long time now. Finally, got it, hopefully in the next few weeks. So I love looking at all the Pinterest stuff and all the inspo colors, but then there are foundational aspects to the house to make sure it's actually safe and secure, which to me is a bit more boring, but it has to be done. And it's the same with your brand. You may feel like it's a bit woo-woo, but actually knowing what you're about, your values, what the real mission is that you're here for, and what feels right in your heart. And I think that's absolutely crucial. In fact, I know it's crucial, because you can get further down the line with your brand and your messaging, and it just starts to feel, because there will be road bumps, speed bumps, pitfalls in building your business. There is in life, and there's no getting around it. But imagine just being at sea and being just buffeted about when you don't really know what you stand for. Maybe you're getting some criticism deflected in when you're sharing some of your truths. And if you don't know what your values are, and you don't really know in your heart what you stand for, then that's when you can feel really ungrounded and steered off course, and then suddenly your messaging just is diluted, it's not landing, and then you end up either burnt out because you're constantly trying and not getting anywhere very fast, or you have people coming in through the doors who aren't, that's clients who don't really light you up, and work starts to feel hard, it starts to feel difficult. And that's not what we want. I want you to love your work, love your message, live your message, and again, make the impact you're here to make. So that's why knowing you is really important, because you are the brand. As a personal brand, like most people are who come into my space, then you are the brand. There's no hiding. You know, many people will try and do their website and not put a picture of themselves on anywhere, which I wouldn't recommend, because people are buying from you. You know, you might have a product, of course, you might have products as well, but ultimately the story is revolves around you. Number 2 is going to lead quite nicely into your soulmate client, your dream client. And this is one thing that I've done a podcast episode on this. So if either of you tuned into any of my podcasts, or anyone else listening on replay, then you will have heard me say one of the most important words in your copy is you. So YOU. So if you are writing in a way of I this, I that, you will lose people, because you think you're trying to create this two-way conversation. And if you are always putting I, it's always centered on you. Whereas if you're using the word you naturally hook people in. So that is what, if there's one thing you can walk away from today, is to check your writing for, even just do a search and find, and just figure out how many yous you've got in there, and what the balance is between that and I. And I would say at this point, going back to real basics, and when you think about, I talk about copy and messaging, and it may sound interchangeable, like they're kind of the same, and there's nuances to each. So it is obviously the words that you're using, but the messaging is really the what. It's what you're about. It's the framework of what you're here to share. And once you've got that, as I said at the beginning, then things, and you've got who you're talking to, then it all becomes much easier, because you've got, imagine like a trunk of a tree, you've got that, and then everything that comes off it is related to that. So it's a bit like if you're in, say, nutritional therapy as just an example, because I was in that space, you see many people sharing green juices, and you think, okay, but what about, who is this for? If this is a busy mum, how are they, what's their real challenge here? So this comes back to your soulmate client, because you start to think about the green juice in respect of the soulmate client. So what are they really challenged by? They probably may depend, again, it depends on who they are, who you're targeting, but they may be somebody who's actually quite health conscious, but they're just absolutely knackered, really tired, their life is so full, they've got to do all the packed lunches for school. You know, the morning is almost like a full day by the time they get to 9 o'clock. So then they think, okay, this green juice, it's not a case of what to put in it. They may know that. How do I build that into my day? So then suddenly, when what you're sharing, your message becomes how to get this green juice mum ready for the whatever time it is, routine, habit. That is where the gold is, not in here's the green juice, beautiful picture, Instagram ready, lovely ingredients. These ingredients might seem great to most people, or they might not. They might feel really elusive, like, where do I even get this from? Like, I just do my regular shop at Sainsbury's, how do I put this together? So again, it's the how, is where you are really showing somebody that you see them, you see their challenges. Because really, we don't need to see any more green juices, I think, on Instagram. We just need to see how can that green juice be made accessible and become part of the life of your soulmate client. And that's why it's so important to know them, know all about them, feel into that space. So number 3 is to burn the rule book. And that's why I love copy so much and messaging, because I was in law, as I said, for quite a while, and then obviously in academia quite a lot before that. So, and then school, all the rest of it, all that usual trajectory. And the red pen, you know, I used to stick with the partners, different partners, especially as a trainee solicitor. Red pen all over that still brings back, you know, nightmares thinking about the red pen. And even at school, you know, you can't start a sentence with but, you can't have a one line in it as a paragraph. All those really, you know, strict English grammar rules. Well, when it comes to copy for your business, that can all go out of the window. In fact, it's more fun when you do that. You start to become freer, like this straitjacket just comes off, and you start to share more from the heart rather than from an academic textbook. So that is another thing, just to really relax in and give yourself permission to do what you want really with your copy. I mean, yes, you don't want grammatical errors, you don't want it to look really sloppy, but that's when you start building some lovely rhythm and tempo to your words, when you're setting it out in a way just very readable and scannable, rather than in, you know, getting an A star at your GCSE English, because frankly, who cares? People don't care. They don't care about how, they just care that they know that they're heard, they're seen, and how can you help them. So the next one is to tell a story, and I talk about this a lot. I use stories myself in my copy and messaging, as you will have seen on, if you follow me on social or in my podcast. It's just so important, and we hear this, but I think many people will forget that there's like little gold nuggets in their day, for all of you listening, where that is ripe for a deliverable story to share with your audience, to convey the message. And yet we are often looking for more complicated ways of sharing it, thinking about some really, you know, scientific way of saying something, but it's just not going to stick. People, and yes, it depends on your audience. If you are targeting doctors and that kind of level of high academia, yeah, of course, that's probably going to be more their thing. But most people who are going to be coming to your doors to sign up for one-to-one or programs are not going to be interested in that. They're like, how can this be said in a relatable way? So we all know stories have been told around campfires for eons, and, you know, women's circles are coming back and just sharing parts of ourselves. But again, just always coming back to the you, the YOU. I said the word is, how can you see it, that person, soulmate clients, see themselves in the stories that you share. So just keep an eye out, just be aware, just immerse yourself in story, as in your daily anecdotal life, and how can that be used as a way to share your message in a way that's going to resonate and feel fun. And, you know, think about like a pop-up book, like it comes, you know, up off the page. Just really have some fun. Maybe that's the other word that's really important to take away from this, is just to make the copy just dance, make it just have fun. And the next one, and the final one, is to drop the jargon. And I think this is really relevant to the health and wellness space generally, because there are a lot of acronyms, there's a lot of words, like even in the spiritual world, you know, like things like shadow work, even like NLP, you know, it's neuro-linguistic programming. Guessing both of you know what that's about, but most other people, you know, wouldn't have a clue. And so it's just about trying to get that across in a way that people will understand, saying it in a way that people understand. I've just realized I was on gallery view there, and I've just expanded it now. So yeah, tech sometimes is just not my thing, but there we go. Maybe you can see me a bit better now. So yeah, so I was just saying about I've lost my the jargon is that you lose people. You know, it's so easy in your echo chamber. Obviously, you no doubt go to CPD events. Most people have to do that in the wellness space, depending on what it is they offer. And once you start and have these acronyms or words that are not simple and easily understood or relatable, people are just going to jump off and go somewhere else because they think this feels too, I don't know, too inaccessible. It's not something, they might not even think, oh, this person can help me, because they think, well, I don't really know what they're talking about. How can they even know that it's for them? So just keep it really simple. And I actually did a course recently. It's a postnatal kind of what would you call it, like alignment for I'm not quite postnatal, but you know, for all that stuff. And it was really, I didn't quite realize, but she broke down a lot of the physiological words and processes into a way, like I didn't hear any of those words. That just confused me. Although I have done anatomy and physiology, like most people have if they've done, say, nutrition or some of the other courses. This is like a foundational thing. But even me, you know, I was tired now at the end of the day, and you just like, I just want to have a really simple way of understanding this. And she almost started doing some of the more complicated names for, you know, parts of the body or processes. And then she said, no, I'm not going to use that word, I'm going to use this instead. And I thought, wow, that's what she's done. She's made it really simple all the way through. And that's why I think I bought from her, because it was just really yeah, really digestible. Right? And she'd gone to it. Takes a lot of effort when you're so used to certain ways of talking and being and relating in the world, and to actually kind of strip back some of those layers into a way that people can understand. So it may take a bit of practice to call yourself out in the way that you're describing things, and to try and just peel it back. And always, if you can make it simple, try making it simpler again, and then you're winning. And that is it. That's the 5-stage framework. And I trust any of that. I mean, if you've got any questions, anyone, just drop into the chat over here, to the chat box, and I'd be more than happy to help. I've managed to canter through that fairly quickly. Sometimes when we have questions in the lives, it ends up being a bit longer. But yeah, if you do have any questions, then let me know and just drop into the chat. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. But I just wanted to take you through the Copy Queens program. So that is a 10-week online course, and takes you through all of the stuff that we've talked about today, about the branding and messaging, and really getting to know you. And there are 7 modules, so it goes through the foundational stuff, so all about you. I call it your inner copy queen. And then we look at your brand voice and your soulmate client. There's Copy 101, which is all about the psychology and art of copywriting, and there are sort of ways of approaching it which are you can overlay into any copy and messaging that you do. So I think it's important, but I don't get to that until module 5, so I do all the foundational stuff first. And then you go on to write your website. So if you haven't got a website, or maybe you've got a website but you want it rebranded, or you were never really quite happy with it, a lot of people end up, who I work with, have maybe had a website and it's been on their list for so long to get it changed because it's not really working for them. But of course, life's busy and full, you don't often get around to it. So what I've created, and this is why I saw that need in the market, in the wellness world, to have these templates. So they're basically guided workbooks, really detailed, ask you lots of questions. They're almost journal questions to really sit with yourself and dive deeper into your brand and what's behind it, and then give you a template, which is like a plug and play way of building all the pages of your website. And even though you've got that, it's not cookie cutter. Like, I worked with people in the last round of Wellness Copy Queens, and even just their about page, they're all so different, because they can't be the same, because each person is in their own divine being essence, and that always comes through. And then of course the sub niches that people specialize in, it's always so different. So, but the way I wanted to set them out with the templates is that you will be able to pick and choose in a way that works. So it's like I said, psychology and art. So the art is a bit more of your brand voice, which I go into in Wellness Copy Queens, your tone, your rhythm, your words that you use, how to really craft that out and feel like you've got that solid foundation to go back to. So across your platforms, sorry, Claire's just asking a question. It's SEO covered in the copy training. I haven't gone in detail into SEO, no. What I would like to do is get somebody who, obviously I'm aware of SEO and I use SEO, but I haven't gone into that in detail. I do that when I do my one-to-one brand mentoring program. There's a lot in here already, so I haven't gone into it in detail. But what I would like to do, so when you do the program, you do get lifetime access. So what I would like to do is maybe build on that, or get somebody in to do a masterclass who is really an expert in that, to help you guys. But obviously keywords we can talk about in terms of how to build that in, and it may be something as an update that I do. I'm always taking feedback from people in the different rounds. So this one is round 2.0, built-in feedback from the previous round, and we have live coaching calls every week it's actually 9 coaching calls spread over for an hour each week, spread over the period of us being together. And we're actually together for 11 weeks. 2 of the weeks are integration weeks, so I can't remember the exact days, that number of weeks, but you get a bit further in before an integration week. So basically that allows you to catch up, because that's what feedback I got last time. Some people were feeling like there was quite a lot there, and that they weren't getting around to crafting their copy in time before the course finished. I built in an extra week of no coaching call, and you can spend that time doing whatever you need to do, whether it's catching up on the workbooks or actually doing the copy. So in those calls, people can show me. I'll just have to select, try and get as many in as I can. to do copy audit. So I can share the screen with you, and you can see the copy changes that I will suggest. So I'll just suggest it by looking at the screen, and often those suggestions can work for other people as well, so you can learn by looking. And maybe if I just move this, I can do share my screen. Give me a moment, and then you'll see what is on the back end of the program. If I go, just move that up a bit. Share the screen. So the sales page is still just being finalized. It's going to go out later this afternoon, but you can see here what you get. So you've got the Inner Copy Queen module 1, you've got your Soulful Brand Foundations. So that is, like I say, the unique essence of who you are. It's the roadmap, it's the North Star to anchor in your foundations. Then the brand voice. So I dive quite deep into that in terms of tone and rhythm and different tools that I can show you that exist out there to help you with that. Then you've got your niche and your soulmate client, and then Copy 101. Then you've got your websites, you've got guided templates for your homepage, about me page, and sales page. So the sales page is really chunky module. I mean, that in itself is, you know, enough if you just got that from this course, because you can go back to that time and time again. So if you wanted to build out a program or a course or something, maybe you're not at that stage yet, I call that a leveraged offer. So you're going to leverage from something that you've already built. A bit like this course, you know, I enroll people twice a year. I do build on it and improve it every round, but ultimately it's an asset which I can build out. But if you're doing one-to-one, then you're going to be more looking at a services page. So I've got a whole video which I've added on this version 2.0, all about the difference between the services and a sales page. And services page is more light touch. And then the last module, which I love doing as well, is the email welcome sequence. So this is the emails that people get drip fed to them once they sign up to your email list. And I give you templates for 3 to 5 emails, which you can use. And obviously I give you tips to build in your brand voice and make it work for your brand. And then I've got bonuses, which is the masterclass on 5 steps to authentic brand photography with Lisa Brethwick, who was my photographer in London. So this is also, I don't know if either of you feel this, but when brands come to, or female wellness entrepreneurs come to do their brand photo shoots, it's just another point of overwhelm and confusion about what do I wear, how do I prepare, where do I even start. So I really wanted to get, Lisa does some beautiful shots. She's in London, but she does travel. So that is all, she goes into what props you'll need, themes, visions, the artistic aspect of it, and the practicality. So that's a really lovely masterclass. And then I've got a messaging bundle in the bonuses as well. So you've got a meditation in there that I've recorded to help you to own your message. And by that, I mean step into your power and actually stand behind your message with your energy and intention. A masterclass on how to do your Gmail sign off. So if anyone's had an email from me, I've got an on-brand Gmail sign off block, that's all I can call it. So I go through a video step by step. I use Loom, so I share my screen so you can see it and pause it and do it alongside me. I've got a lesson on how to move through writer's block, because I know that is a big thing for a lot of people. You may find that now, you may find it when doing the program. So that may, with journal prompts, which there's always journal prompts, because that allows you to bring awareness to patterns and behaviors and then to move through it. And then also another audio on how to set up a writing ritual, which I think will really serve you, because you're writing for your business most days, whether it's an email to people, whether it's a blog, whether it's a social media post, even just responding to people on social media in your DMs, all messaging, all words. So most people, even if you're not working every day in your business, there's going to be some form of writing. And even in your life generally, and I know one lady who did this course said it's really benefited her life generally, not just her business, which I thought was amazing, because actually our messaging and standing in our truth is part of our daily life, not just our business. So this is everything you get. There's a Facebook group where, for that particular, I'm always in the group, but particularly obviously in a live round like we're in now. And you've got obviously the templates for testimonials from your clients, because again, think about testimonials. if you're not writing them in a way that's going to resonate and move the needle in your business, which is persuade people to take action, to work with you or get an email address from you, then they could be, you know, fairly pointless. So I've got a template in a Google form that you can send out to your clients once you've worked with them. You've got all the pre-recorded modules, they're all there from the previous round. So that's how many did we have last time? So nine, it was 90 minutes for that round. Videos are all recorded on Zoom, and then you've got the templates for every page of the website, like I talked about, and workbooks, and every module has an audio. So I go into audio, video, just talking through stuff, because everyone learns in different ways, and I'm really conscious of that. So there's transcripts as well for if you're one of those people likes to print it off, highlight, tab, go for it, or you maybe just like listening, you've got the video as well, and then you've got the workbooks and the template. So there's enough there to keep you busy, certainly, but it's totally doable. There was one lady in the last group who was Veronica here, she's a coach for mothers. She got the whole thing done. She got a whole website, and that course was in 9 weeks, so I only had one integration week last time, and she managed to build out a whole website and her nurture sequence in that time. So it just shows that it is absolutely, you know, possible. And she was starting from the ground up. She had no clients yet, she was just starting out. And as she says, this is her testimonial here, I created so much more than just the copy. It was the offer was sorted, the clarity on her niche, and really shifted her along. And this is a big one. This is Alison Hall, she's a fertility nutritional therapist. She said that she'd written a weekly newsletter in 40 minutes, and it was a record. It was taking her a lot longer. So that is one huge intention that I set for this course as well, that it just frees you up from all that time that you spend over analyzing, trying to edit, overthinking. You're actually freed up to go and do the work that you're here to do, and not be sat in like a messaging quicksand of just wondering what on earth to do, because people are writing much quicker after they've done this course, and that's because they've really embodied and taken on the lessons that I've put forward in the course. So yeah, you can see, so when you'll see it all, this is all the sales page when it goes out. But this one lady again, Melina, she's a fertility nutritional therapist. She said that one lady had gone onto her about page and said, wow, I feel like that felt exactly like you said, that was so me. And that's exactly what I was going for with helping people with their copy, that people can feel seen and heard in their copy. And that's why I call this masterclass connection, because messaging that connects, because it's so important. Before you even get to the sale, it's connecting, and that's the beginning of the journey. And yeah, there was another lady who, let me see if she is further up. Yeah, Anne. She said it was very different. The course was very different to anything else out there, and it was all about finding her authentic voice rather than just what will sell. And although obviously selling, I don't think is a bad thing at all, it's just spreading the good news of your message, but really tapping into you. That's why I start with you, because that has to come from an authentic, grounded place. And when I got that feedback from Anne, I was just so pleased, because then I'm starting to see the vision that I held for this program coming to life from the feedback I was getting from people, which was everything for me. And yeah, Madeline had said this course has transformed my whole business, just starting out, and she's getting more and more followers, and they're starting to be her target clients. And yeah, and as she said, it's a nurturing environment, and again, that's what I've set up, and that's why the way it is now, I don't know if it'll be like this forever when I open them for years to come, but for now, I very much want to be very much in the program. Hence, I do the live coaching calls, and you've got me in the Facebook group. And yeah, so I'll just stop the share, because that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in terms of the program. So for the first 10 people that sign up, I always like to reward people who move fast with, you know, joining things. So I'm going to offer a 30-minute one-to-one coaching call with me for the first 10 people who sign up. And the reason I do that is because I think not everyone will necessarily get it, on the call. Last time they did, actually, because we had a lower number, so everyone got on most of the calls they wanted to get on. They got their chance to speak, ask me questions, which was great. But you get then towards the end of the course and you still may have your nurture sequence that you want finalized, which you haven't quite got over the line before we finish our time together. So that call can be used anytime up until the end of the program, where you could just check in with me and, you know, ask me any questions. Maybe it's a particular thing that you're stuck on, you didn't want to share it with the group, and you just want to final glance over something, then that's why I've offered that 30-minute coaching call. So yeah, that's pretty much it today. But I don't know, has anyone got any other questions that they want to ask of me? I think the main thing is that this is not just because you can just go away on Google and, you know, try and figure out your copy yourself, but it's that held space and going a little bit deeper. Like, I work quite intuitively. I did when I had my nutrition practice and my coaching for mums, and I feel like we're moving into an area where, or paradigm now, where the energetics of the words, well, words have always had energy, and it's like putting something into a pond and that kind of the ripples that come out of it. But I think if you are sharing a message that is like textbook good copy, but you're not really behind it, and you don't feel grounded, you don't feel sure in the place that it's coming from, I think that is what people feel as well. So that is just as important as the words that you're using. But even when you don't feel as confident and you don't have that clarity, often the words you use will reflect that as well. And I see that in my clients. I see the difference when, say, I've worked with a lady for 6 months. Oh, Katie, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's, Katie was just saying that she has lots of writing, but it feels a bit of a mess. I think that's what I hear a lot, that people, that either they've got loads that they want to say, and they're one of those really verbose people, are just like put it all down, and then they think, how am I even going to cut this down? Where do I even start? Or they're just looking at the blinking cursor, the white page of doom, and just thinking, like, what do I say? And it's a bit like stage fright, isn't it? You just think, there's so much I've got to do, big mountains climbing, like, and then they just don't do anything and then procrastinate. And I deal with all of that in How to Get Over Writer's Block in the bonus section. And that's why templates are really important, even though some people, I can tell, aren't as keen because they think, oh, I'm going to have a website that looks like everyone else's. But really, the way I've done them is, it's not like you have to do it X, Y, and Z. There's still artistic license that you can come in with your designer and put your stamp on it. And if you think about it, it's the words that you're using as well. So even if you've got, you know, a similar heading or a heading and a subheading like someone else, it's what you say in that heading and subheading. It's your brand colors, it's the images that you're going to use, it's the whole picture. And I don't know, I'm just so passionate about, because especially now I'm starting to really come to the end of some of my journeys with people, like I've worked with Claire for 6 months, and this is not you, Claire, it's another Claire, and, you know, she's launched a website, and she's comes from such a place of ease now with her copy and messaging, with the blogs that she's been producing, and I can just see it, and I can sense the clarity that then comes with people, and it all comes from them. You know, I just give, and I never like in any of my programs, so anyone who's worked with me before will know, I think, and I get this from my friend, and she's also been in my Copy Queens community, Ruth Sabrosa, because I were all the taught and were all the students. So I feel like I learn from you guys, and I trust you will also do the same for me, but it's a reciprocal thing. So, like, I like to think of me as, like, obviously I lead the program, I'm like your mentor or coach, whatever. I just think, why do we even need a label, to be quite honest? This is what I do, it's a transformation that you're going to get, and then you can give me any label you want, but I don't want to always think about it as top down. Work together, and obviously nobody else knows your brand more than you, and you may, or certainly once you really tap into it and get to the essence of it. And that's why I think it's so important that you all get to know copy and messaging, because you could hand it over to someone, of course, you could hand it over to a copywriter, but that is a fairly big investment. Like, somebody to do your sales page, you know, you could be talking 5,000 plus to do a sales page, and how would you know if it was any good if you don't know anything about copy and messaging? And how can you really convey your ideas to that person if you don't really know what your ideas are? So that's why I don't often like to actually do copy one-to-one assignments with people where I do the copy for them. when they're just starting out, or even up to say 5 years, 3 maybe, depends, because they may change and pivot their business. I don't know. Obviously, Katie, I know that you're kind of at the beginning stage. Claire, I'm not quite sure where you are. Maybe you could mention in the comments. But people will maybe, yes, niche down again into a sub niche, or maybe they want to change their niche completely. Maybe the sort of people are starting to get through the doors are different to what they thought, and maybe their specialism is starting to almost call them to it. So if you've had somebody do all your website for you and paid them, I'm pivoting to online. Okay, amazing. And is it reflexology, Claire? I think that you do. I'm not sure. Maybe you could let me know. But often, yeah. So if you've had somebody do the whole lot, invested a lot of time, effort, energy, money in getting someone to do the whole of your copy, and then you pivot and change, and then you go do all again, well, that wasn't a very good investment of your money. So that's why I think, especially, this is obviously where Copy Queens is targeted, is the people starting out or looking to rebrand as well, but capturing it in a way that you can capture it and get it all down. And then if you want to change, you're not going to think, okay, that wasn't a very good business investment. So this is an investment. Yeah, can't do reflexology online. Yeah, very good point. Yeah. So fertility nutrition, yeah, that sounds great. That's obviously what you can do online. Yeah, so that's why I think it's really important that, because yes, I mean, I know there's somebody I follow on Instagram who's got, I think, a 7 or 8 figure brand. You know, you hear all these figures bandied about, sort of lose track, but a very successful brand, and she still does her own copy. She said that the other day. She was laughing that it was a podcast I listened to of hers, where she still does every social media post, she still does all the emails for her launch. So even and then also I know other business mentors who don't, and they have copywriters who do them. But the thing is, she's pretty, I think, very good at copy. You know, the message that I'm on her email list, I see the copy, it's really engaging, I really love it. And that's the thing, she's still doing it. So once you learn this craft, this is not something that you need to just then forget and hand over to someone else. Oh, it's done. You'll always develop your craft, and you've got all these tools in this program to continue to do that and come back to. And then you will come from a place of ease in your business. You can just, like, one thing you can cross off, like, on your list of having to build your brand, that's not going to be a point of what's the word, like a challenge or a point of stuckness. Although I don't think we're ever stuck, because energy is always moving. It's always in yeah, it just can, obviously we know everything, even our table here that's sat on looks like it's still, but it's actually, you know, made up of moving particles. It's all a bit bizarre when you think about it, but when we feel stuck, we're not actually stuck. But anyway, you get the idea. That's the thing. I want to just keep you moving, because when we start to feel that stagnant energy in our business and it's not flowing, then the people who impacted you, obviously, because you're the CEO, not bringing in the money and you're not bringing in the clients, but also the bigger impact of the world, of all these people over there who you're here for, who are just waiting, you know, they're waiting for your message to land with them. They're waiting for your help. They may not even know that they need your help. And that's why the copy and messaging is so important, because you can get that across in a way that they might not even know that you could help them. So it's just incredibly important, and obviously it can stand in for you online in a way that you don't need to be there. So it can work in the background. It's like magic, you know, when people sign up to your emails, you can have that email sequence, so they feel like they're having a conversation with you, but you're fast asleep in bed because somebody in a different time zone signed up for that email, and you're having that conversation online without you being there. The words can work hard, so you don't have to. I always say that, because the internet is a 24/7 machine, so your website is constantly having this conversation with someone without you needing to be there. And then that's when you start to extract yourself from the business. Things are automated, they're working for you, and then you can get on with the fun stuff, which is being, you know, CEO, running your business, not being an employee. As my business mentor says, you know, many people just fall into that way of being, of just working, time for money, when actually there are automations and ways that you can fall back on to work for you. And that's what I do with the email nurture sequence. And obviously things like your About Me page, the About Me page is more than just an About Me page, it's your story. And then once you've got that story nailed in a way that your soulmate client sees themselves, that you're happy with, and it really reflects where you are and what you're offering, that can be then rolled out into, if you're doing a podcast interview. Or my client recently, so she's also been on the program and done a 6-month brand mentorship with me. She's now doing some talk for, I forget who it was, some natural health place. It's quite a well-known one, so it's just escaped me, but she said it was so easy to prepare that talk because she had all the foundational stuff from the work we've done together, and it was just a case of slightly changing it for that particular talk, but ultimately it was all there. So it's a gift that keeps on giving, because you've got a clarity and a base to do any other content in the future. So yeah, so we're getting to 20 past 1. I'm gonna have another sip of my tea because I'm starting to get a bit parched. Yeah, see my mug. Everyone always comments about this mug, the boob mug. So yeah, I don't know, Claire or Katie, if you've got any comments or anything, any questions, I should say, anything you want to ask me. I'll wait a few more minutes. And we're going to we start on the 11th of October, I was going to say. So the doors will be open for a week and a half roughly. And then on the Monday, 12:30 is when the first call will be. And if you are interested in it, and you miss any calls, then all the live calls are all uploaded within 24 hours, so you can go back. Or if one particular week you've got a question for me that you'd like me to answer, so I did this last time quite a number of occasions, somebody would message me. You can even do a voice note for me if you want. I can show you how to do that. If you'd rather, instead of typing it all out, you'd rather just send me a message, I can bring that to the group, the live coaching call. I'll say, Katie brought this question, she can't make the call, but we're going to answer it, and I'll take you through it. And then if you want to then listen to the replay, you pick up on that particular answer. So even though you're missing it, you're not missing the opportunity to run something past me. And it's fun. It's really fun. It's a fun program. I know that there's been some really good feedback, and in building a business, it can feel like you're climbing the mountain, but let's do it with some, you know, fun things on the way, and just make life a bit easier for you. Stand on the shoulders of people who've gone before and who are a little bit further ahead and can just short circuit your journey. That's what it's all about. You don't want to make it harder for yourself than it needs to be, because yeah, I know that people who come on the program and who work with me on this just feel such a sense of relief, really, that they finally feel like they've cracked it a little bit. And yes, you'll continue learning, but you have to be out there doing it, sharing your message, because that's how you refine it and you get well practiced. And it's just like riding, you know, a bike or a car. It just gets easier and easier. So yeah, so thank you so much for listening. I know more people will be catching up on the replay, so hi to the replay people too. And I will be sending, I'll be sending the sales page around to you guys later this afternoon, and then it will go, oh thanks Katie, you're so welcome. And it's also going to go to the wait list, because I've got a wait list of people on there. Yeah, thanks Claire. And then, you know, within a couple of days, I'll then open it to the rest of my community. But I just wanted to give you guys in the wait list a chance to jump into that bonus, which is the 10 calls, 30-minute calls that are available for the first 10 people to have that one-to-one with me for anything they want to run past me in the program. Or particularly, I think it's probably towards the end when you're getting your copy and your nurture sequence sorted. So yeah, thank you so much. It's been fun. Sorry if I was a little bit small at the beginning up there, but now I've made it a bit bigger. But yeah, thanks Katie, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.